If you're stuck in your head, it's not because you don't have the answers. It's because you're not asking the right questions. It's that whole overthinking thing, that replaying it in your head, that spinning around. In fact, I call it the hamster wheel. If I get stuck on the hamster wheel, not a good thing. Especially if you're an overachiever and you're saying things to yourself like, I should be able to figure this out. I was so glad when I actually learned that this was actually an avoidance pattern because it's really draining and I really wanted to stop doing this to myself. Here's what I learned. I wasn't stuck because of my situation, and neither are you. I was stuck because of the questions I was asking myself. I was asking myself questions that disempowered me. Like, why does this always happen to me? Or why do I always attract this kind of person? Or what's wrong with me? Or why do I have to do this? The problem with those questions is it assumes I have no power. So when you ask a disempowering question, you're going to get a disempowering answer every single time because it presupposes I don't have the power to change it. And that's just not true. Good news, right? I remember when I first started getting real awareness around this pattern that I had. I was complaining to a small group of women about this other woman who had all these problems, and she was coming to me and, oh my God, and woe is me, and why do I always attract people like this? And oh my gosh. This woman, you know those wise women in your life that just bust you? Okay, she busted me so bad. She said, that has nothing to do with her. That has everything to do with you. And she was right. She was right. The good news about that is if it was about her, I'd have to wait for her and everyone like her to change. But since it was about me, I could change it. That's the good news. Yeah, it hurt. It hurt when I heard it. Thank God. Thank God I did. Thank God I did. So, what can we do about it? So, what I learned was to ask empowering questions. So, what do I mean by an empowering question? An empowering question presupposes I have the power to change, the power to act, the power to decide, the power to focus. And the good news is that that's true. So, what does it sound like? So, here's some of my favorites. What can I do about this? What else could it mean? What's good about this? See, those questions presuppose I can do something about it, that I am the meaning maker. Okay, I'm the person who makes up the meanings of the events of my life. Nobody else gets to do that for me. So, this absolutely flies in the face of what I know as learned helplessness. And I think everybody gets on the pity pot every once in a while, and I know, and that's not what I'm talking about. Every once in a while, we just kind of have to go feel all the, so that we can get the contrast. Okay, what do I want instead, and move on and say, you know what, I'm not buying my own BS here. I'm going to do something different. This is the quickest way out of overthinking, over getting caught into this little spiral, downward spiral. This is the fastest way. This is a very powerful tool on a lot of levels. But for me, the fastest way to get out of spinning out on the hamster wheel and overthinking is to ask myself questions that presuppose I indeed have the power. So the construction of it is to actually set up the question that way. So the disempowering question says, what's wrong with me? My brain has to go find the answer to that. They'll come up with a list, blah, blah, blah. when I ask, what can I do? It also has to go find the answer to that question. Your brain will go look for the answer to any question you ask it. So it's all about, what are you asking for? What are you asking your brain to focus on and go find? Super powerful tool. I encourage you to take a look at this. See if you're saying these things to yourself. You might find that you are. And if you are, you might be stuck in some avoidance patterns, and you might be stuck in some victim mentality. And different from being a victim. Victim mentality is an identity identified with learned helplessness, stuck in I can't do it. Not true. I'll be the wise woman who busts you. Not true. You're way more powerful than you even know you are. You're meant to be that way. So we start with empowering questions, because empowering questions direct our focus, and focus directs our emotions, and emotions direct our actions. So here are some of my favorites. I like to start with, what am I no longer willing to tolerate? Because if I'm spinning, it's usually about something I'm not happy about. Now, if you're spinning on something good, go spin out and have a good time. This is about when it's something's not right in your world. So, what am I no longer willing to tolerate? It's a great question, because it gives me the power to decide what the standards are in my own life. And the way to raise your quality of life is to raise your standards. That is exactly, there's no exception. You have to raise your standards. You want a better life? Raise your standards. What am I no longer willing to tolerate? And that might be with other people or within yourself, right? My second favorite question is, what do I think when I think that, right? Okay. I could have a lot of different thoughts. Pick the one that's the strongest and stay with one thought. Let's go just with one thought, because you're going to get a bunch of emotions usually. But I like to add sometimes, I'll look at that thought and I'll say, what else could it mean that this is happening? What else could it mean? Right? It presupposes I have the answer to that as well. I have the choice. I have the choice to assign meaning to something. Again, moving away from victim mentality. I get to decide what things mean. If somebody gives me a dirty look, I could say, oh, it's because I'm such a horrible person. Or it could be, they're in a bad mood and I'm going to stay away from them. Totally same event, two different meanings, right? Third, I like to say, when I think that, what do I feel? And I could have a lot of conflicting feelings at the same time. And that's oftentimes when I'm spinning out. I could have, I'm angry, but I also have fear, or I'm angry, but I also feel hurt. I could have, I'm angry, I'm frustrated, but I really love this person and I really want to be with them and I want what's best for them. So I feel guilty if I abandon them. So I could have a lot of feelings just with one little old thought. It's crazy that way. We're just so human beings. We're fast little thinkers, and this all is playing out unconsciously, and it's setting up how we feel. It's setting up everything that's going on, and that's what's going on when we're overthinking. We're feeling all these conflicting feelings. We're having these thoughts. This is the way to stop it. Then I like to say, when I know what I think and I know what I feel, what do I need? Sometimes it's an action, sometimes it's an inner resource that I need to tap into. Like, I need to pray about this. I need to talk to a trusted friend or advisor. I need to ask questions of them. I need to get more information. I love that one. Get curious. I need to get curious. I need to get curious about this. Yeah, it puts you in the driver's seat. When you know what you think and you know what you feel and you know what you need, then you can get your needs met in healthy ways. And not before then. You really do need to have that all lined up. Otherwise, you're kind of just guessing. We don't want to guess. We want to have control over that. That's the difference between having a really empowered state of mind and a really learned helpless state of mind. So now I'm moving into the solution. With that little recipe, I am moving into the solution. Will this work for you? Absolutely. I know for sure it will. If you do it, it will work for you. It will work for anybody. Our brains have to answer our questions, and it's all in the way you ask it. Recently, one of the members of my power practice group had a huge financial loss, emotional loss as well, and ended up really stuck and, feeling kind of rightfully so victim of circumstance. They had a lot of other people's stuff that had been left in their home, and here they were needing income, needing not, grieving through loss and feeling very like there was this overwhelming amount of clutter and other people's belongings. And what she was able to do was to move through that by asking herself these questions and taking next right action based on these questions and empowering herself. What can I do? What's good about this? What else could this mean? And what it does is it opened up the opportunities, and she ended up clearing out that space and now renting it. So she was able to go from this victim of circumstance to I'm going to take what I have and repurpose this space into a form of income. So, we're closed view when we're in that victim of circumstances. Our opportunities, it just closes in like this. When we start to ask these empowering questions, it opens up our point of view and our opportunities that are right in front of us. So I would encourage anyone that is feeling stuck in overwhelm and in the overthinking pattern to listen to this video, share it if you know somebody who's doing this. If you're doing it, hey, take the little quiz and see how this is working out for you. There's a quiz in the bottom of I guess it's in the more section underneath this video. Yeah, we'd love to support you in finding out exactly how you do avoidance patterns, because this is an avoidance pattern and it's a painful one. So if you found value in this, I hope you'll like and subscribe and pass it on to anyone you think it might help as well. See you soon. Talk to you soon. Take care. Ask yourself better questions. Can't wait to hear your story. Leave a comment. Leave a comment if this has been helpful, or if you've used it and you want to give me some feedback. I would love to hear from you.